The following episode contains spoilers. If you don't want me to ruin the series for you, pause this podcast and come back when you've seen it. From this point on, everyone is at their own risk. Sincerely yours, Management. Welcome everyone to Lights Camera Podcast, a program dedicated to all those cinema lovers. I'm Sofia Erler and I'm glad to be one more episode here with you. In this episode, we'll be talking about Euphoria, the series created by Sam Levinson that debuted for the first time on HBO and HULU in June of 2019. As always, I invite you to get comfy and grab some snacks. With no further ado, let's get down to this episode. Euphoria is a look at life for a group of high school students as they grapple with issues such as drugs, sex, and violence. This series features actors such as Zendaya, Hunter Schafer, Barbie Ferreira, Jacob Elordi, Alexa Demi, Angus Cloud, etc. This series was nominated to 6 Emmys and won 3 of them, those being Best Makeup, Best Music, and Best Actress. Euphoria is based on the Israeli series of the same name. Okay, Euphoria. That series that came out to be a boom in television and impacted an entire generation. Why? Because this series has sex without censorship, drugs in every scene, alcohol everywhere, adolescent problems, and so on. Sophia? Yes? You're not talking about skins, aren't you? What? No. Yes, it's true. It's Gossip Girl, my bad. No, dude. This is a series with Zendaya where she gets high as fuck. Said they all look alike, so yes, my bad. Yes, you heard me right. This series is a lot like other teen series. That's why the Euphoria fever didn't hit me as hard as it did to other people. And what happened with this series is that they claim to be a unique expose about us teenagers, and it's not like that. It ends up being just another series that copies their plot from another series. And I'm going to explain this very quickly because this has officially become a phenomenon. Now, I'm not going to deny you, this series has a few good things in its favor, but to give you a little context and history, Euphoria is not the first and will not be the last series of and for teens dealing with sex, alcohol, and drugs. In 2001, we had Degrassi, one of the first series to talk about sex, substance abuse, sexuality, and identity issues. In January of 2007, we have Skins. This series, which has marked the lives of many people, is one of the best known series ever. Skins is an English series that talks about drugs, sex, identity, and adds more topics such as teenage pregnancy, abortion, mental and eating disorders, etc. Skins was a series that the Parent Society in USA wanted to ban when it came out to them because it was too explicit. In September of 2007, Gossip Girl came out, a super recognized series that deals with the lives of teenagers in the Upper East Side of New York. The series also reviews topics such as substance abuse, sex, identity, eating and mental disorders. This is just another series that the Parents Association wanted to ban, but in the end couldn't. And in the present day, today, we have many series to talk about these issues and that have become a trend because of how explicit they are, starting with our very own first episode, 13 Reasons Why, that not only talks about suicide, but also about sexual abuse and harassment. We also have sex education, Insatiable. There's also the Spanish series called Elite. These all are exposés of what the adolescent life is, which is not. Believe me, take my word for it. I'm still a teenager, so I know what our lives are like. Now, what makes Euphoria so good? Well, look, for me, the story and sequence of the series, it's like, many people have even called it a cruel reality or painful reality in which teenagers live. And that they claim that this series shows the true face of what we young people live, and that's why they claim it's an excellent series, which is no, it's not. It's simply not. So you wonder, I guess you're wondering, what did this series what did they do to gain people's attention? To begin with, this series was all or nothing, starting with the photography. Guys, believe me, the photography of this series is spectacular. It's worth swallowing all that drama pill just to see the photography and cinematography. Two other important factors were the makeup and costumes. As I mentioned, this series was all or nothing. They took a huge risk in adding very pompous factors. Speaking of pompous, the most brilliant thing that this series did was, in each of its episodes, it saturated them with a lot, and I mean a lot, of image or many quick sequences of sex, drugs, alcohol, abuse, etc. And this is a very well used strategy because it makes you think, it makes you talk. Even if you're not really talking or really good about the series, it makes you talk, and that's what they want. They want people to talk about the series. And what do most people think? Like, yes, oui, that's what teenagers are like. Art, reality, 10 out of 10. Like, no, it's not. I mean, I understand that that's what you want to do. You want to address this to our generation for us to stop doing it. But come on, I'm still from this teenager generation, and yes, I won't say we don't party and we don't drink and some of us smoke weed or anything, but it's not all like in the series where they drink, have sex, do drugs, kill each other, rape people. Like, no, this is not happening, okay? And now the series is supposed to be for adults? Teenagers? Well, I don't even know who the series is aimed at. Is there a purpose behind this series apart from, making a shitload of money? So, I don't know. Sometimes I think the series' purpose is just a campaign to discredit or expose this youth, but I don't think they realize that this generation, this youth, is the same youth that copy stupid challenges that they see on social networks. So I don't think that's their purpose, and I don't think that's the right audience you need to target. I don't know. It's just, I'm lost here. Is this series a big marketing strategy for drugs, drinks, and condoms? Is it a campaign to discredit and encourage teenagers to do this? I don't know. It's probably not like any of this. I'm just rambling, I'm just talking because that's my job now. I talk for a living. But it's definitely not a series that leaves many lessons to be learned. And believe me when I tell you, I don't hate this series. I enjoyed it very much. What I hate is how they put it on a pedestal when clearly there are many more better series than this one. And well, it's just that this series is quite not right. The Emmys just passed, and Euphoria, as I told you, was nominated for 6 of them, of which I told you won 3. Makeup, music, and actress. As I said, I loved the makeup of this series and the music. Labyrinth did a very great job. I love the Euphoria soundtrack. I actually have it on my liked in Spotify. I listen to that shit every day. Now, the prize that I have a little doubt on is Best Actress. Our beautiful Zendaya won her first Emmy, becoming the youngest actress to win an Emmy. But here's where I'll come to say something that probably will win me a few enemies. So please, don't leave this podcast. Just hear me out a little bit, okay? Okay. Zendaya did not win her Emmy for her performance, okay? So hear me out. Before you go on and throw a pebble at me, hear me out. Zendaya is more or less a good actress, but come on, she was competing with goddesses in those Emmys. Zendaya won that Emmy for being the activist she is, for being the person who's generated more stuff this year, okay? Because that's how some of these awards work. I didn't think her performance in the series was bad, okay? Okay, listen here. I didn't think she was bad in the series. But Zendaya still has a long way to go. And who knows? If she continues on this path she's on, we may be seeing her nominated in the Oscars. Who knows? Now, in this episode, I was only focusing on Euphoria in general. Why? Well, because the characters in this series, oh my god, these bitches deserve an episode dedicated only for them. Because believe me, I have a shitload of things to say about each one of them. But it's, oh my god, I just can't. They're like Muppets, you know? Like they don't even know what they're doing. But okay. But this is going to be up to you. If you want an episode dedicated just for the Euphoria characters, you'll have to let me know. Okay, in summary, I love the cinematography and photography of this series. Its aesthetics and the way it's done. They play a lot with colors, shots, light, etc. And that was something that hooked me up 100% with the series. I fell in love with the makeup, with the costumes, some of the scenery, and I totally loved the last scene of the last episode. And I'm saying this like this because it's mind-blowing. I just love the choreography and the music, and it's all synced in a way that you feel like you really want to watch the second season, but because of the cliffhanger that the last scene leaves you. If you haven't seen this last scene, I published it on my Instagram, but I would highly recommend you watch the whole series and then the last scene so you can actually understand. It was one of the best ways to end this series. But I hated the way they wanted to expose a generation that for the most part doesn't behave the way the series portrays it. Like I said, we teenagers, yeah, we party hard, I party hard, we drink, some of us smoke, do weed, do drugs, some of us are even very sexually active, but that's not the case. I mean, the series is so exaggerated that it just blows it out of proportion. No, it's a more or less bad interpretation for the Z generation. I personally give this series a 7 out of 10. And now, I'll give you the rates given to this series. IMDb gave it an 8.4 out of 10. Metacritic gave it a 68%. Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 82%. What do you guys think? So that's it for this episode. I hope you liked it. And what did you guys think about the series? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it I hope you guys let me know what you think. Before I finish this episode, I want to say this is the 10th episode on Lights Camera Podcast. It's been 2 months and 2 weeks. And I know some of you will say like, Sophia, it's just 10 episodes. But believe me, for me, reading your comments, getting your feedback, it's really inspiring for me. So thank you for supporting us. And I think I'm going to stick around for more time. So buckle up, people. Remember to follow Lights Camera Podcast on Facebook and Instagram to be notified of new content, to give your opinions, or decide what other series or movies I should talk about. If you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this episode a like. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll tune in again next week. Take care, drink lots of water, Consume weed if you want to, and keep consuming cinema. Bye!
I remember he tried to put his gun in my mouth.